Uganda is rich with oil and mineral resources. The National Development Plan 3 recognizes oil and minerals as some of the sectors with the greatest multiplier effect on the economy.
My name is Byenkya Moses Akiki. I work for Hoima District Farmers Association. Hoima District Farmers Association is a member-based organization founded and owned by the farmers of Hoima District. This association began way back in 1992 as a district branch of Ugandans Farmers Association, now Ugandans Farmers Federation, E&FA. We started with 56 members, and now we have grown to 9,097 members. Our strategy is to mobilize farmers and agri-business-related businesses in Hoima District to be able to produce enough food and to become the food basket for Hoima region, for the Midwestern region, Hoima District, and also the surrounding sub-region. The preparedness of Hoima farmers to participate in the forthcoming, in the developing oil and gas sector and related opportunities. As you are aware, Hoima town was in the last 10 years upgraded to a municipality, and now last month we were upgraded to a city. So Hoima District, Hoima town is the oil city for Uganda. And we have a number of developments going on right now. We have an airport nearing its completion, and it's to international scale.
Being a member of Hoima District Farmers Association, there is a market we are targeting, the oil and gas. The camps, the people who are there, the people that are doing the oil, the refinery, those who are doing exploration. So that's the market that I'm targeting.
Here we are at Kabaale Fruit Farm, the sister of Karungi Fruit Farm. And here on this farm, we deal in fruits like mangoes, have oranges, lemons, avocados, or I would like to thank the Chambers Oil and Gas who have come to share out the experience with us. They did put in place the policy of local content so that they may come buy our products rather than getting the products from abroad and other areas where in actual sense those products are in existence in our area.
We started way back in 2012 supplying foodstuff to the two Tullow oil camps, that was Kissinger and Ulisa camp, which were being run and managed by Tullow Oil. We did that for 5 years. That was 2012 to 2017. And in doing so, we managed to develop and amass enough and big experience, which we believe we shall carry on to the developments in the next phase. And in the next phase, we look forward to not only feeding the population of Hoima and the people that will be staying in Hoima, but also we are focusing to the market beyond Uganda. That is the international market, the export market, because we are going to have a number of big jets jetting into the district and going away, the cargo planes. So we are in the process of preparing Hoima farmers to be able to produce enough food in a number of fields, a number of enterprises, so that we are able to capture and utilize that export market as well as the domestic market.
It has been good, it has been okay. Let's have been able to raise some income, pay fees, build, as you can see, buy plots around. I have a big place around, you can see. Even behind there, we still have space for more structures. So I got all this from poultry.
By around 2015, there was a slowdown in the number, in the quantities that were being, actually a slowdown in this oil activities, and the number of workers started reducing. And what the camps did was to cut the amount of food they were taking from us because the number of workers was reducing. And in 2017, there was a complete closure of the oil camps, that is Kisinja and Bulisa, and we were informed that the camp could no longer take our products. So automatically what happened, we had to advise the farmers to slow down in the production, as there was not a complete stoppage in our production. We continued producing for the existing market because even earlier on we had been engaging in a number of enterprises.
I think this is where government has to come in to subsidize on these costs, on these inputs. For example, fertilizers. A bag of DAP, fertilizer DAP, is here in Hoima, it is 150, 130 if you are very lucky. But for you to get a good yield, you need to use all these inputs. You need to use fertilizers, you need to spray constantly, you have to do all those things. You have to apply all those practices.
Right now we are organizing our farmers into agro-enterprise lines. We are having a number of farmers who are organized in cooperatives, like we have the rice farmers cooperative, we have a goat farmers cooperative, we have a horticultural farmers cooperative, we have a fruit farmers cooperative. So all these farmers, we intend to see that they aggregate the efforts, the products they have, so that we are able to supply consistently. Due to the closure in oil activities, we did have a slowdown. We reduced on the acreage, we reduced on the number of farmers who were engaged in production. Like we had, at first we had engaged 400 farmers for the start, who were organized in 20 groups. Now we remained with a few individuals who are doing horticulture. We also remained with a few individuals who are doing poultry, but they are still engaging, they are still doing as well as a business.
Yes, you had them. Those are farmers from Hoima District, and that's what they think. As we discuss the agriculture sector preparedness for oil development in the country, I'll read you a few lines from what I have here so that you may know that's a broader conversation. The oil and gas sector is expected to attract tremendous investment upwards of $20 billion, which is more than half of the GDP of Uganda. Now you know why we are discussing it. And furthermore, it's important, very important to note that food and beverages are among the goods and services reserved for Ugandans and Ugandan companies under the local content regulations of 2016, and hence numerous opportunities exist for the players in the agriculture sector across the country in relation to what we are looking at. I mean, with the investment that I expected. I will start with you, Tom. The Petroleum Authority Uganda is promoting linkages between oil and gas sector and other sectors of the economy. One would be interested to know, why is this important and what efforts have been put in place to enable this?
Thank you, Mordecai. I think that's a very interesting question. First of all, I would like to say good evening to our viewers. I'm very happy to address you today. In whatever situation that this finds you in, I hope you have the strength to go through it. But that being said, as you have said, Mordecai, the Petroleum Authority of Uganda is working to link the oil and gas sector to the rest of the broader economy of Uganda. As you know, there's an African saying that if you want to go quickly, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, you need to go together. Absolutely. So that is what we're trying to do with the oil and gas sector and the broader economy of Uganda. We're trying to link the development of the oil and gas space, where we're going to invest over $20 billion, to the rest of the broader economy to ensure there is broad-based economic development to all levels, so that everyone in this country, in whatever field and sphere that you work in tourism, in the health sector, in agriculture, as you can see, that is a mainstream of this country, has significant benefit before we receive any money from the sale of the crude oil that belongs to Uganda. And this we have seen happen in the international space. We have seen it in Norway, where, for example, for whatever dollar is invested in the sector, an additional 0.6 of additional growth is generated from the economy. So that is what we are trying to achieve.
Yes, Honorable Victoria, I hinted on the local content regulations of 2016
yes.
That provided for certain goods and services to be reserved for Ugandans in the oil and gas sector. In your judgment and through the interactions that you have had, are Ugandans aware of the opportunities to supply the oil and gas project?
Unfortunately, the answer is no. A few have had rumors, but very few farmers can tell you that right now they are aware and that they are investing in preparation for the same. What am I talking about? When the oil starts flowing and the wonderful engineers and the chemists and everybody is down there in Hoima, they are going to be like middle income. That is one. Two, this is going to happen after COVID. Most Ugandans or the whole world is now aware of good diet. And nearly every food we eat in Uganda has overnight become a superfood. So when those people are in Hoima, they are going to want to eat all the oranges, the mangoes, the tangerines. They are going to want to eat all the pineapples. The pineapple farmers in Luwero have no idea that there is potential there. In fact, when I look at the young people in Luwero who are complaining that they don't have like money to invest, I'm like, if they knew, what they would be doing is prepare so that whoever is growing these pineapples, they stop growing the huge pineapples, which are good for large Ugandan families, and start growing the small pineapples, which are for those small families of the wonderful middle-income people. Because for me, it is not like I don't have to ask them. I'm always in the field, and I see what they are doing. So when I see, I ask, for whom are you producing this? When I hear that story of abantu bajja ne bagula, abanakenya bajja ne bagula, then I'm like, we are finished. They are not targeting Hoima, they are still targeting people whose names they don't know. So that is why I'm worried that they are not fully aware. Yeah.
Well, Robert, South Africa has done a lot of work with international oil companies operating in Uganda. Tell us about the companies that you have worked with and in which parts of the country.
Okay, thank you very much. South Africa, we've previously worked with 3 international oil companies: Total, Uganda, Tullow, Uganda, and Sinok. And we've, together with Ministry of Agriculture, have initiated a relationship that dates back in 2018 of October, to kind of like go out in the Albertine region and try to see what can be done by the smallholder farmers, kind of develop a pilot. And so we went to Hoima District, we went to Chikube District, we went to Noya District and Bulisa District. And we just did exploratory exercises and studies. So we've got quite a lot of information that we can use to pass on to any of these farmers, any of these people that would want to come and invest in this sector.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Tom, getting back to you, what is the demand size of food and beverages in the next phase of oil and gas development in this country?
Thank you for the question, Mordecai. That's a very interesting question. Well, from what we see, the demand will be enormous. In the exploration phase, there was an investment to the tune of about $3.5 billion. In the next phase, we are going to spend $20 billion. Now, to give you an idea on a certain scale, and I'll just use an example of one of the ladies in the previous video. In the exploration phase, an 1,000-man camp used to consume about 4,600 trays of eggs in a month. That's slightly over 160,000 eggs in a month, right? Which translates in about 2 million eggs in a year, right? But now, we are going to have over 160,000 people in the field building the infrastructure that we need for oil and gas. Now, if those individuals consume the same number of eggs, you're looking at almost 26 million eggs in a month. And in a year, that's almost 320 million eggs. And from my recollection, that's almost 35% of the production capacity of the country for eggs alone. So in terms of the potential, it is massive. It is really massive.
Honorable Victoria, what is the country's potential? One would want to know or to wonder the current capacity of the country.
Actually, before I talk about the capacity, I'll talk about the eggs. The oil, we, the people in agriculture, were incensed when the oil sector in 2017 started, the eggs he was talking about, they were importing eggs. You know, that is when the word sabotage, you feel like breaking all the eggs on the way to Hoima.
Potential.
Yeah. So as far as the potential is concerned.
Consumption and export.
Yes. For the potential for consumption by the Ugandans. First of all, in most cases, like bananas, beans, posho, you name it, what has been produced has far surpassed the potential consumption levels of Ugandans. I know this basically because when COVID came and the borders were closed, that is when prices plummeted like there is no tomorrow. So what we, the people in the agriculture sector, need is the same support which is being given to the people, to the engineers in the oil sector, to the chemists who are going to work in the oil sector. Let this be given to these Ugandans so that they can invest and create jobs. That is one. Two, they can invest and produce quality goods for this middle income class, which will be with us in no time. So while when you ask about the potential, Uganda, we are producing at about 25% potential. So even if you told us to double, in most cases we do not need much. All we need is a steady, clear market. Then certainly we shall surpass whatever you are thinking about.
Okay, let me first get back to you, Tom. Let's talk about the camps. How many are anticipated to be constructed?
Well, we will have 6 to support the development of the oil fields. So we're looking at the regions of around Hoima, Bulisa, where the actual oil is. And we'll have an additional 4 to support the development of the oil pipeline. So
how many people in each camp?
In total, we'll be in the total 10 camps. We'll be housing in the region of about 9,000 to 13,000. 13,000 people.
Where does an ordinary Ugandan get that type of information?
Well, Honorable, thank you for the question. We have actually done a lot of work sensitizing Ugandans.
I've been there.
We have not got to you.
We have had so many local conferences, and even right before COVID, and I don't know if you remember, we had one sharing our experience and the need for Ugandans to prepare themselves to participate in the sector. We have done a lot of work in Hoima as well. However, we continue to need your support as well in this effort to sensitize the Ugandans.
Has there been some kind of studies to know specifically which kinds of foods and beverages will be consumed daily, weekly, or even monthly?
Yes, 100%. My brother here from Self-Help Africa himself has participated in some of those studies, we do have what they call an agricultural development program that the IOCs themselves are funding to ensure that the Albertine region is an exemplary region of commercial development of agriculture for the country. Yeah.
But then, just one second, the Albertine region, because Uganda is more or less zoned by God, there are certain crops which don't grow there.
True.
Like all the citrus, the mangoes come from the east.
True.
Have we been to the Teso people to tell them, thank you for producing, now a bigger market is coming?
The Honorable here has just read my mind. We have a new study that we are undertaking to link the Albertine and the pipeline corridor to the broader agricultural sector of the country. So it is an effort that the entire state has identified, and we are working on night and day to ensure that we fulfill the development needs of this particular country. Yeah.
Robert, now to you. Let's talk about the quality or the standard. What quality standards must these products be, to meet the required standard?
Thank you very much. Before you even talk about quality standard, look at the sustained supply and the quality of the produce that is going to be produced. And so what we've done in our exploratory research as Self-Help Africa with a consortium of Beverages, which is a private NGO, private business, and True Trade, which use technology in ICT for market information and purchase of these produce and into the market. You have to look at the quality of these products. And so we went out and did studies and identified a number of markets, local markets, for example. Even leave alone the oil and gas sector, the local markets are developing very, very quickly because there are people going there, to look for jobs and to participate in this sector that is coming up. So the local market itself has a very, very big potential, and it is growing. The institutional markets, the oil and gas sector itself, I mean, the 10 camps that my brother was talking about, is a huge market. But there are also regional markets. DRC, Congo, just across the Lake Albert, is a potential market. Tanzania, South Sudan. But also the airport that is being constructed is a very good opportunity for the people and the farmers to exploit the international market, just straight to Europe, with direct flights coming up. So all these are markets that will need different standards. So as SHA, when we sat down and developed the agriculture development program, we support from the JVC partners, joint venture partners, we designed a 3-year program and actually did a pilot. And we've been piloting some of these, interventions to do the quick wins for some of these activities. And I can say that, there are already very good prospects. I can assure you, you heard on the clip that Hoima District Farmers Association have actually been supplying. In fact, in our records, they've supplied 95 metric tons of produce to those different segmented markets. And so, with the farmers at the back end being mobilized through production, through appropriate rural financial systems development, business services, and budding these small micro enterprises coming up, they will be able to align their production systems to the different standards that are required by the different markets. So it is not one standard. There are different market segments that will require different markets. But the beauty is, when you've done very high quality standard, like the oil and gas sector standard, and if you meet that standard, it will be a lot easier to just change the production technology and meet these other standards for the other different markets. Yep.
Oh, wonderful. He hinted about the second international airport being constructed in the country. To you, Honorable Victoria, how can the agriculture sector utilize such a facility?
The first and most important thing, especially following on from what he has said, is that since this is a new airport, we should not build it piecemeal like we built Entebbe. Now, if we have an airport there and we have these farmers and we want to export directly from Hoima to Dubai or to Germany, we should have all the facilities required for the agriculture exports. For example, we should have cold storage there. We should have a system where the fumigation, the last fumigation before you get into the plane, should actually be done at the airport. Right now, or actually for the last 2 years, Uganda has been struggling to build that type of facility at Entebbe. So I'm hoping that this airport, when it was being planned, that they had agribusiness in mind. So that is one. Two, normally business starts, it is done by people and it starts on a one-on-one. So those people who are building the airport, especially the non-Ugandans, when they come here and taste our food, are the ones who tell the people at home that there is something good here, actually. Then those others who come to work, for example, the engineers who will come in either to fly in the planes or to work with the oil rigs and all that, they are the ones who will be telling their countries that there is something good here. Therefore, one of the things we should be doing now is actually do our public relations very well. That is one. Two, prepare our people not only to mine the oil, but to do those side businesses which always come with that type of industry. For example, I was listening to that clip, and they were talking about how they have started this cooperative and that cooperative and that cooperative. The one thing I know for sure is that cooperatives had died and we are just reviving them. So most people, especially below the age of 40, have never belonged to cooperatives. And I would hesitate, if we are going to go into high quality business like he's saying, I would hesitate to force anybody to go into a cooperative. I would rather promote value chain development, meaning if your job is to produce watermelon, I want you to produce the best watermelon. If my job is to trade in watermelon, I want to be assisted so that I have got a vehicle which can carry my watermelon in such a shape that it gets the market the way it left the garden. Quite often, those are little details we leave out. But then at the end of the day, they affect the quality of the product, the appearance of the product. And as you all know, when you go to the market, you start looking, why is this watermelon whitish, and so on and so forth. Of course, the farmers have no choice about that. But let us not bruise whatever we are taking to the market. Even if you are taking it to Hoima, you are taking it to the airport, you are taking it to Kampala, let everybody be prepared so that when our Hoima starts flying, we are all at par, just like he said. If you set the standard for oil, even for us in agriculture, let our standard be that high.
Well, thank you so much. I do not want to sound pessimistic, but I'm asking this very important question. What if there's no ready capacity for Uganda to meet the demand? How will importation be regulated?
Thank you for that question. I think it's a prudent question to ask. In our experience, in the 900 million that was retained by Ugandan companies, this was generated out of a deliberate effort of many of the Ugandans to ensure that some of the goods and services that are required by industry are supplied by the Ugandans. Now, that being said, we have a robust legal and contractual regime that controls, number one, the procurements that are undertaken within the industry. And I'll give an example. We have what we call the National Supplier Database, where all goods and services that are used within that particular sector have to be picked out from. Now, that is a major control. Now, in addition to that, the goods and services that are available in the country are given preferential treatment above all else. So before they look externally, they must look internally and make efforts to ensure that they are utilizing the available Ugandan capacity. And if it is not up to standard, they must make initiatives to bring it up to the required standard. And if that is not possible, there's a requirement for them to form a joint venture between an international company and a local and a local company. So it is our expectation that Uganda, being the most entrepreneurial country in the world, that such scenarios will not happen.
Just one small question to him.
Sure.
Is the national supplier database still open? Because I know it was advertised some time back and people were told if you are not on that database, you will not do business with oil and gas. Is it still open? So the farmers who are waking up now, can they register now?
Yes, 100%. The qualification is now all year round, so you can apply at any time. And we are available. It is free, open, and transparent.
And it is all online?
Yes, it is online, but we do have extension campaigns that we hold in the Albertine and around the country, though those have been interrupted by the current pandemic that we do face, but it is our expectation that we will roll those out. And we have made significant gains in the development of the country.
But let me comment on this Albertine thing.
Sure.
You know, it is good enough that Albertine region has the oil and all that. Now, what about us who come from far? One of the things I know for sure is that the whole world loves shea butter from Uganda.
100%.
It does not come from Albertine region.
True.
So I would love for my sisters from Langwacholi, West Nile, to actually be told that those people who have always bought your shea butter are now coming here. Prepare to deliver it in this time.
And 100%. And that is why in Uganda, we have emphasized what we call national content. And national meaning the whole of the country, not local where the oil is found. So you'll find that our initiatives are broad-based across the country, regardless of where you're from, close, near, far, short, small, big. It doesn't matter. The opportunity is there. It is open and available to everyone who can compete. And you need to know that you are competing at an international level. So the idea is for us to use the God-given opportunities and gifts to raise our ability and raise the entire country.
But God has not given some people phones. So if we are, if you are all online, what about those who do not yet have smartphones?
Well, let's now go to Robert. Take yes, Robert. From your experience of working with different farmers across Uganda, is the farming capable of sustaining over 100,000 people consuming 4 meals a day as per the expected oil and gas standards?
Mordecai, my answer is an emphatic yes. One, we are looking at production on off-season, where with irrigation or with high-yielding seeds, you are able to supply the market and get yields even when it is not the planting season. We are also looking at increasing productivity per unit area with improved technology for production, not using the hand hoe, the traditional hand hoe. We are looking to improve and increase production and productivity per unit area. The other aspect that we are looking at is how do we increase shelf life? Because it's not that we don't have the food. We have the food. It's just that some of the food gets lost, you know, from the farm to the market and to the consumer's table. So increased shelf life through value addition and processing, those are some of the opportunities that we need to be able to explore. And Self-Help Africa, working with the joint venture partners, have developed that kind of mega agriculture development program valued at around $28.3 million. And it's going to look at the entire landscape on how you can improve all these segments of the sector to be able to meet that demand and even beyond. Because as I mentioned, you're not only looking at the market for the oil and gas sector, you are looking at the broader market demand. Because if the standard, for example, for the oil and gas sector is grade 1, how about the farmer in sorting produces 30% as grade 1? How about the 70%? That can find its way into these other local and institutional markets, such that, you know, there is no wastage. But the other aspect that we need to look at is how about the financing schemes? these smallholder farmers, they need to have innovative financing skills such that they can jumpstart their production values and are able to move beyond just the rudimentary technology of the hoe that they are used to with very limited low seed production capacity, very limited gene pool. You know, all those are the interventions that our agricultural development program design took into consideration. And of course, I call upon everybody, even private sector players. There are very many opportunities available there because the public sector will not be able to do that alone. The private sector will not be able to do, the oil and gas sector will not be able to do that alone. Even, you know, investors, private investors, there are opportunities, you know, for example, financial services, business development services in the area. All these need to be involved. Technology, fabrication of some of these technologies, you know, for processing, for example, they need all be availed this information so that they participate and the whole sector in the region, but also in the whole entire country, you know, is impacted.
Well, thank you so much. Honorable,
Yes.
Let's talk about that youth that is not or wasn't able to get capital that would help him start commercial farming. What is that message you have for that person?
Allow me to first ask him a question, then I'll answer your question. Is your program covering the whole of Uganda so that when I speak for the whole, all the youth in Uganda?
Few seconds.
The ADP program, we concentrated on the Albertine region.
Okay.
But as you know, the last spillovers into the surrounding areas, you know, to be able to back up the entire program to function.
The youth of Uganda.
Yes.
I can just see the youth who are not in the Albertine region, minimal benefits from this oil and gas. I hope it is not too late, but with that high population of Ugandans who are in their youthful age, it looks like we need to do a bit more. I'm glad that there's work going on in the Albertine region, but even there are youth who do not have land or who are not prepared. My suggestion would be, since that is where Chigumba Cooperative College is, we send them for those who want to join cooperatives, they should now be in the cooperative college. Because the engineers have been to Birmingham, have been all over the world in order to be trained. Let us also train the farmers, the cooperators, and for the ones, the youths who are going to go into agriculture in the Albertine region, let us not assume that they know what farming is. He was talking about quality. For most of them, they have never seen quality anyway. So let us use this time to actually either send them to school or set up schools where they are and take the teachers there to train them so that when we say produce, I was earlier talking about a small pineapple. I want them to know how to get a certain size of pineapple, a certain size of watermelon. Because like these days, the watermelons, which are this huge, are very difficult to sell. So what should we be doing with these youths? Prepare them for this eventuality.
Well, Tom, we are getting out of here, but one that is watching wants to know, how long do the oil and gas project take, I mean, from start to decommissioning?
Thank you, Mordecai. Well, typically, if you look at the fields around the world, you're looking at an average between 15 to 30 years. But there are so many scenarios and so many fields that have been producing longer than Uganda has been an independent state. So our expectation is that the industry will be here for a minimum of 30 years, but from international experience, it can go well beyond that. And I would just like to add my voice to what Honorable said. The intention is for us to start in the Albertine, but it will be a model for the rest of the country to replicate. So we have had her, and that is in our plans. And it is the intention to expand this particular development agenda to the broader economy and the broader area of the country to ensure that there is broad-based economic development for all Ugandans.
Wonderful. Well, wonderful conversation. Robert, I will start with here at the extreme end. That one thing that I want to leave unmentioned. One thing that you know, or could be two, that you say, I will not leave this place without mentioning them.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mordecai. One, the opportunity is there. As an organization, we've gone in and spent quite a lot of time talking with the farmers, even piloting some of these quick wins for these interventions. The opportunities are there, not only for the farmers, but also all players, you know, within the agriculture sector. Technology, fabricators, financial service providers, packaging industry, manufacturers, you know, they are all there with these opportunities. So go out, log in, and subscribe to being part of this opportunity that we have.
Thank you so much. Honorable Victoria.
I think what I would like to say to every Ugandan is one thing. Many Ugandans have, I don't know, they suffer from prejudgments. They hear just one word and they decide, now, I want to call upon every Ugandan. If you hear that there is an oil and gas meeting in your town, all those wonderful new cities, please turn up. If you get there and you really prove that it was useless, that is different. But I want to bet that you'll get there and you'll be surprised that there is actually a part for you. And when you get there, I want you to please insist, because it is much easier when you are there yourself, and know how to register so that you can do business. Because as I was saying earlier, most of this is online, and many of you do not have smartphones. So turn up in person when you are invited so that you can sort that out. I thank you.
Pleasure. Then to you, Tom.
Thank you, Mordecai. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to our viewers. Mine is to simply emphasize the enormous opportunity that is within the grasp of this country. As you have seen in the most recent weeks, we have concluded the host government agreement between Uganda and the pipeline company. We are also taking forward the development of the upstream infrastructure, and we are beginning to see the white smoke that will signify FID. Now, that being said, there is enormous responsibility that lies upon all of us as Ugandans, because the development phase will be one. We will most likely build one pipeline. We'll most likely build a single unit of infrastructure to process our crude oil. And that opportunity and that investment will usually come in the next 5 to 8 years. So we must wake up, prepare ourselves, organize ourselves, not just the usual business here, right? You are competing internationally. You're competing, and your competition is not here. Your competition is in Japan. It is in Iran. It is in America. So we must step up our game so that everyone in this country can feel the benefit of oil even before the revenue gets into the country.
Well, thank you so much. Wonderful panelists that have actually been able to come and have a conversation with us. Well, we just cannot go beyond this, but I will just speak it from Honorable Victoria Sekitoleko, who said, to you, the youth, or any person that is in those new cities and all over the country, if you happen to hear any kind of, could be a workshop or anything, that you need to be part of it. Because in the end, the question will be, I heard about it, but I never participated. Exactly. And then you'll be regretting. Very, very unfortunate. So be part of the change, just like the president of the US said, that before you ask what the country has done for you, you ask yourself, what have you done for the country? Could be participating in those wonderful discussions or platform. I just cannot go beyond this, and I wish you a blessed evening. Good evening.
Keep your loved ones connected with Airtel voice bundles as they stay home safe. You can now gift any of the Airtel voice bundles to your loved ones free of charge. Yes, gifting of voice bundles is absolutely free of charge. All you have to do is dial *100*2*6#. Select from daily, weekly, monthly, Javise, Zaweze, or even night bundles. Enter number you are gifting, select pay using airtime or Airtel money to complete transaction. Gift any Airtel voice bundle and keep your loved ones connected at no cost. Airtel, the smartphone network.
There's no more stress. The condition continues to get better every morning. For us who used to eat one meal each day, we now have extra for sale. Thank you for giving us seeds. Now we can drink milk and eat eggs. We used to wake up scared and frightened, but now security is guaranteed. Children are immunized against killer diseases. Many roads are being constructed. Factories, communication, human rights have all increased. So many people have learned how to read and write. You have put a smile in every home around the country. We are with you all the way. We are with you all the time. We are with you in every situation because we can see where we are going.
Uganda, strategically located in the heart of Eastern Africa, is rich with oil and mineral resources. The National Development Plan 3 recognizes oil and minerals as some of the sectors with the greatest multiplier effect on the economy.
My name is Byenkya Moses Akiki. I work for Hoima District Farmers Association. Hoima District Farmers Association is a member-based organization founded and owned by the farmers of Hoima District. This association began way back in 1992 as a district branch of Ugandans Farmers Association, now Ugandans Farmers Federation, E&FA. We started with 56 members, and now we have grown to 9,097 members. Our strategy is to mobilize farmers and agri-business-related businesses in Hoima District to be able to produce enough food and to become the food basket for Hoima region, for the Midwestern region, Hoima District, and also the surrounding sub-region. The preparedness of Hoima farmers to participate in the forthcoming, in the developing oil and gas sector and the opportunities. As you are aware, Hoima town was in the last 10 years upgraded to a municipality, and now last month we were upgraded to a city. So Hoima District, Hoima town is the oil city for Uganda. And we have a number of developments going on right now. We have an airport nearing its completion, and it's to international scale.
Being a member of Hoima District Farmers Association, there is a market we are targeting, the oil and gas. The camps, the people who are there, the people that are doing the oil, the refinery, those who are doing exploration. So that's the market that I'm targeting.
Here we are at Kasemiri fruit farm. the sister of Karungi Fruit Farm. And here on this farm, we deal in fruits like mangoes, have oranges, lemons, avocados, or I would like to thank the Chambers Oil and Gas who have come to share out the experience with us. They did put in place the policy of local content so that they may come and buy our products rather than getting the products from abroad and other areas where in actual sense those products are in existence in our area.
We started way back in 2012 supplying foodstuff to the two Tullow Oil camps, that was Kissinger and Ulisa camp, which were being run and managed by Tullow Oil. We did that for 5 years. That was 2012 to 2017. And in doing so, we managed to develop and amass enough and big experience, which we believe we shall carry on to the developments in the next phase. And in the next phase, we look forward to not only feeding the population of Hoima and the people that will be staying in Hoima, but also we are focusing to the market beyond Uganda. That is the international market, the export market, because we are going to have a number of big jets jetting into the district and going away, the cargo planes. So we are in the process of preparing Hoima farmers to be able to produce enough food in the number of fields, a number of enterprises, so that we are able to capture and utilize that export market as well as the domestic market.
It has been good, it has been okay. Let's have been able to raise some income, pay fees, build, as you can see, buy plots around. I have a big place around, you can see. Even behind there, we still have space for more structures. So I got all this from poultry.
By around 2015, there was a slowdown in the number, in the quantities that were being, actually a slowdown in this oil activities, and the number of workers started reducing. And what the camps did was to cut the amount of food they were taking from us because the number of workers was reducing. And in 2017, there was a complete closure of the oil camps, that is Kissinger and Ulisa, and we were informed that the camp could no longer take our products. So automatically what happened, we had to advise the farmers to slow down in the production, as there was not a complete stoppage in our production. We continued producing for the existing market because even earlier on we had been engaging in a number of enterprises.
I think this is where government has to come in to subsidize on these costs, on these inputs. For example, fertilizers. A bag of DAP fertilizer, DAP, is here in Hoima, it is 150, 130 if you are very lucky. But for you to get a good yield, you need to use all these inputs. You need to use fertilizers, you need to spray constantly, you have to do all those things. You have to apply all those practices.
Right now we are organizing our farmers into agro-enterprise lines. We are forming, we are having a number of farmers who are organized in cooperatives, like we have the rice farmers cooperative, we have a goat farmers cooperative, we have a horticultural farmers cooperative, we have a fruit farmers cooperative. So all these farmers, we intend to see that they aggregate the efforts, the products they have, so that we are able to supply consistently. Due to the closure in oil activities, we did have a slowdown. We reduced on the acreage, we reduced on the number of farmers who were engaged in production. Like we had, at first we had engaged 400 farmers for the start, who were organized in 20 groups. Now we remained with a few individuals who are doing horticulture. We also remained with a few individuals who are doing poultry, but they are still engaging, they are still doing in as well other business.